I want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Tiege Hanley, because Tiege Hanley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Tiege pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Tiege pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Tiege, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order, plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Tiege for the people that ordered the Tiege. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right, so that's one of the free gifts that Tiege got inside of the pack. And then, what is this? Says, squeeze a quarter-size amount of Tiege Hanley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tiege for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Tiege pack, right? So this is the normal Tiege pack, but then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Tiege pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And man, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day. Right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally, because anybody can do that little pitch and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order, and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off of life. Using any other Tiege pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link that's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. It is Wednesday, September 25th, 2024, year of our Lord. We in here. What up to everybody that was tuned in last night to After Hours. I thought it was a phenomenal show. I got Carrie to commit. Yeah. Carrie to commit tonight. We got Let's Rant About It, Season 2, Episode 2. Last week we did the conversation about who you voting for, Republicans, Democrat, being a black Republican, all of that stuff. This week, I think you really gonna like it. If you liked episode 1, episode 2 was a little bit more spicy. So we gonna get there. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. We getting it popping with the Tiege. We love our Tiege. Ladies, get it for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. If you're not a part of the Bag Chasers, you need to be, and you need to go and check that video, especially if y'all one of these dusties that was in the chat yesterday. You need to go and check these, go and look at that video that I dropped on the Patreon yesterday. It's chock full of game and information. So much. I came up with a name. I came up with a name for the whole real estate thing that we got coming up. All right. I am going to drop the date that we're going to be live streaming for our first block club. It's that simple. It's that simple. So we got stock club and then we got block club. And block club will be every single thing that I've learned, including building these houses, how you get started in real estate, how you can leverage it in order to reduce your tax burden, my strategy, what other people's strategies are, everything what's going on in the market, interest rates, tax auctions, tax liens, everything that I've learned, and that I could show you the receipts, and then how you can leverage the information and then skip the line, skip the suffering, skip all of the headaches and the heartaches that I had to deal with. And I have, even with building this house. You know, I never spoke on really building houses because it's something that I never did myself. But now that that's another portion of real estate that I could speak to because my experiences and me going through it, I've had some overages, it's some learned experiences. I'm modifying it and changing some things, and I'm implementing some things. All of my contractors, finding an architect, excavation, building in the wintertime, what markets you should be in, cheap materials versus expensive materials, flooring, framing, what is the most expensive part of building a house? Should you build a house? How to acquire the capital to be able to do so? All of these things are things that we're going to have conversations with in Block Club, in the Patreon, in the Bag Chasers. You will never, under any circumstance, get this level of game, real life, from somebody that's really doing it in real life, doing it in real time, spending my own money, never been financed by any bank, and making sure that I'm giving you the game. As I learn it, I give it to you, and then you go and get rich as a result of it, and then we all get rich. We all get rich. We all get it. So shout out to everybody that's really out here in these streets. We're going to run it up. So shout out to my bag chasers. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Well, it's not pinned to the top of the chat yet, but we're going to get there. We're going to put that in the chat right after this. And then get your tickets. If you want to kick it with me live in Atlanta on November 2nd, or in Detroit, and or both, Detroit on December 14th. And then we're going to probably try to figure out how we can do a Patreon meetup in between there. Make sure you get your tickets. Come and kick it with your boy. Put discount code Anton in there, and then we're going to rock out, all right? What up, what up, what up, what up to all of my friends and family that's in the building? Yeah, yeah. They was talking to me last night when we was on After Hours. It was kicking it with me last night when we was on After Hours. And it was asking me questions about my work ethic and how I always, every day that I wake up and I jump on the Millionaire Morning Show, or whether I'm on After Hours and my work ethic and stuff, because I was really bothered yesterday after we got off the live stream. At the end of the live stream, when a lot of the guys was in the chat, and I know some people troll because the chat is a part of it, and so they want some attention like some bad little kids, so we give them attention. But I was really bothered when, a lot of these guys, Anton, the only way that a man should level up is if he got to take care of a family. That bothered me. It bothered me. It did. So we had some extensive conversations towards the end of After Hours yesterday. And let me say this, and we're going to go ahead and get into the show because I want y'all to lock in for the next 2 hours so I can hopefully add value into your life. What up, sister? What up, Molly? What up, Yakar? What up, Annie Marie, Big Sucks? Adrian Roberson, Lisa, Azriel, Ronald Store, Murphy. What up? What up to all of my friends? I see y'all in the chat. You know the chat is my co-host. I was bothered by it, but I want to motivate y'all and I want to give you the information. And so I decided to have that conversation last night, and hopefully it inspired you. Hopefully you understood why I work so hard, what my dedication is, why you want to have options. And then we went from there. All right. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody getting to the bag and running it up. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest group on the face of the earth. Before I get started, I got to acknowledge the cash apps and the super chats because I don't care if you give $1. I don't ask for it, but I always appreciate it. Shout out to my people. I love y'all. Shout out to Metabani. Shout out to Metabani. Said five for the drink. I appreciate you. ESDC in the building. What up to DSDC? Mike, that dude in the building. up, Mike, that dude. Let me get a couple of these cash. Look at my rich friends out here already in the streets. Mr. Lott says, salute to the Chasers. Thanks for the coaching, bro. Major moves and changes is on the way. Mr. Lott is going to be moving right here in downtown Detroit, hanging out with Time Dog. What up to my dog, Mr. Lott? Hey, let's get it. Let's get it. We had a great conversation yesterday. Cartier82 says, straight up facts on that vid this morning. Go get you some. Go get you some. Chad from Morris says, good morning, AD. Is the new Lamborghini going to be the company's to buy or lease? We're going to talk about that in the Patreon. We're going to get the new Temerario. I actually talked to my dealer, and he said it releases in 2026, so I have to wait all the way till 2026 to get my new Temerario. All right, so we're going to get the Temerario, and we are buying it. We are not leasing that. Some cars you got to keep. The 911 you got to keep, the 96 Impala, the Temerario, but I don't think that I'm going to keep it forever. I think that I'm going to wind up trading it in and upgrading, but we're going to hold on to that. We're going to have that conversation later. Shout out to Chad for Morris. Billy Ray Valentine in the building says, good morning, AD and the Bag Chasers caught up on the Patreon, and I truly appreciate how you take care of the women in your life. You're a blessing to all of us. Yeah. Shout out to Billy Ray Valentine. Hey, I want to see my snow bunnies pulling up to my show in Atlanta and Detroit, too. I want to see my snow bunnies, as Dr. Umar Johnson would say, and my snow hares. Shout out to my snow hares, the fellas. I want to see y'all pulling up and coming to kick it with your boy. So make sure y'all get y'all tickets too. Yes, you are invited. And I certainly do not discriminate. I rock with people based off of the content of their character, not the color of their skin. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all ready to get started with the show? All right, let's rock out, y'all. Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to highlight each individual segment on its own, but we definitely want to keep y'all up to date on what's going on in these streets, man. So first things first, a New York City school chancellor has decided to retire merely weeks after being raided, but is acting like he was already on his way to retirement. Check it out.
Good evening to you. I'm Christine Johnson. Tonight, we begin with some breaking news. David Banks, the head of the largest school system in the country, will retire at the end of the year. This announcement comes not even 3 weeks after federal...
Let me say this, Jeremy. I see you in the chat, big dog. I see you. But rich is a mindset. It's a spirit. The money is going to come anyway. When I say my rich friends, I like to just put that label in order to acknowledge a certain group of people that donate or whatever. You know, we like to separate it in order to make sure that people are acknowledged because, you know, you don't have to. And so when you give out of your heart, even though I don't ask for it, I want to acknowledge that. But rich is a spiritual thing. It's a mindset. To be successful is a mindset. You could not have resources and have money, and that could just be circumstantial based off of whatever is going on at the time. But the money is going to come anyway because of your work ethic and your consistency and your dedication and the reason that you're doing it and you're doing it the right way. So when I say my rich friends, it's a mindset first, and then it translates over into the results. So understand that. Let's continue.
Agents raided his home as part of a broader investigation into members of Mayor Adams' inner circle. Political reporter Marcia Kramer has details on the message from the chancellor to the mayor.
Mayor Adams leaving City Hall today, having just received a letter from Schools Chancellor David Banks confirming his decision to retire at the end of the year. I am writing to humbly inform you of my decision to retire as Chancellor of New York City Public Schools, Banks said, reminding the mayor that the decision to leave the nation's largest school system was made well before federal agents raided his Harlem home, confiscating his phones and those belonging to his partner, First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright. During our meeting earlier this year, I advised you that I intended to retire at the end of this calendar year after ensuring the school year got off to a good start. I have decided to retire effective December 31st, 2024, after dedicating nearly 40 years of service to New York City's public schools. I am incredibly proud of what we have accomplished during my tenure. During a recent appearance on The Point, Banks talked about the raid, explaining what he would tell parents, teachers, and students.
In life, you may have challenges, but always hold your head high, live your life, and walk with integrity. I've always done that, and I would encourage all of our kids, all of our teachers, and anyone else to do the same.
Banks is just the latest member of the administration to pack it in. Health Commissioner Ashwin Vasan and Counsel Lisa Zornberg have also recently announced their departures. I asked the mayor today how he would fill all the posts.
City government is a deep bench, and we have a reservoir of talent in this city. We're not going to have a problem filling any of these positions. People want to be in city government.
Now, within the last few minutes, we got video of David Banks returning to his home in Hamilton Heights. Late today, Mayor Adams said he was immensely grateful and proud of the things Banks accomplished, from helping the schools come out of the pandemic to welcoming thousands of migrant children.
Did you see what his accomplishments were? I'm going to play it for y'all because some of y'all may not have been paying attention. I'm going to play it for you again, what some of his accomplishments were. Check it out.
He said he was immensely grateful and proud of the things Banks accomplished, from helping the schools come out of the pandemic to welcoming thousands of migrant children.
One of his accomplishments, let's set aside the FBI raid for a second, because we got a theme that we're going to hit on today. And a lot of it is going to be based around looking at all sides of the migrant crisis, from the Haitians' pushback to other small towns that are concerned about migrants taking over their cities. Because I want to have a holistic conversation. I want to look at it from all sides, not just one side. One of his accomplishments was welcoming thousands and thousands and thousands of migrant children into the New York City school system that you guys pay for with your tax dollars.
Math and reading scores and graduation rates also improved under David Banks' leadership, the mayor said. Christine?
All right, so you mentioned that Banks is just the latest in several resignations, but let's move over to the police department.
Sure.
The interim commissioner, his homes, plural, were raided. What is the latest there?
Well, what we've heard from NYPD sources is that he is now hired an attorney, and that the documents that were seized from when he was a Homeland Security expert in the state and federal government about 20 years ago. They were classified documents, and the feds seized them.
I think that NYC is corrupt, like most blue cities. But in addition to that, parents, speaking of what's going on in New York, parents are absolutely outraged of the level of prostitution that is happening around 3 schools in New York City. Check it out.
At new at 5, a fight over sex workers and brothels operating just steps away from schools in Queens. Parents tell us they're fed up and they're taking their outrage to a hearing being held tonight. Even though police made some arrests last week, some say the area surrounding 3 elementary schools in Jackson Heights and Corona looks more like a red light district these days than a place for children. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Janice Yu.
There are more brothels than there are bodegas in this community.
There are growing concerns over alleged prostitution in this Corona, Queens neighborhood. Former New York City Councilman Hiram Montserrat says the solicitation is blatant, often happening in broad daylight.
We have an active 24-hour brothel across the street from 2 elementary schools. Our kids are seeing this. This is not acceptable.
Nellie Rodriguez's grandson attends PS 19 at Roosevelt Avenue and 99th, and there are 2 other schools nearby. She says her grandson and her teenage kids have to walk by women soliciting outside of stores.
You literally have to shield their eyes because the open urination is just impossible. And to explain to my little grandson why there's women here shaking and, doing all of that stuff.
Just last week, the NYPD raided a storefront near Roosevelt Avenue and K Street that was allegedly being used as a brothel, just half a mile from PS 19. 3 people were arrested for prostitution charges. Cops stood along Roosevelt Avenue Tuesday afternoon, but Montserrat and Rodriguez say much more needs to be done.
And we are calling upon all the authorities to use their resources and ensure that we have more police protection and that there's more enforcement around the Roosevelt Avenue corridor in this part of Queens.
It's not fair to our kids. I want my grandson to be a kid again, to be able to enjoy it like I did.
There's a Community Education Council meeting happening today at 6 o'clock to talk about increased security at schools in light of everything that's been going on. And there's a rally planned on Sunday afternoon as well. People in this community will be getting together and calling on elected leaders to make changes in this neighborhood.
There's no reason why your children should have to walk down the street past a brothel and what is supposed to be the basic capital of the United States of America. Like, New York City is the unofficial, official capital of the United States of America. As New York goes, as Los Angeles goes, really more New York, because New York is the financial hub of everything that's happening. More billionaires and millionaires in New York than anywhere else. And you telling me that the kids can't walk down the street without worrying about running into a brothel or seeing some naked person that's walking down the street, or some man that's zipping up his pants as he's coming out of the massage parlor? And an open market? Okay. And then last but not least, a police informant or police informants was found dead in Indiana in a river after being shot, stabbed, and strangled. Check it out.
Indiana Task Force 1 has been activated by FEMA to respond as a search and rescue team to Florida. Consists of 80 people and in support of FEMA Region 4 ahead of the potential tropical storm Helene you just heard Tyler talking about. That storm is expected to become a tropical cyclone this week. Of course, we'll keep tabs on Task Force 1.
Court documents claim 2 police informants were killed last week by a man police say is a local drug dealer. It all started last Friday when 2 bodies were found in a river in Fort Wayne. Fox 59's Eric Graves breaks down these court documents and their connections to a drug investigation in Richmond. Eric?
Court documents say a Richmond Police Department informant was picked up at this apartment complex just a day before his body was found in a Fort Wayne river.
Shout out to
Fort Wayne
Peter
police say
Investor.
last
Shout out to
Friday,
everybody that's
volunteers
just
cleaning
getting
up
into
the
this.
St. Mary's River found 2 bodies inside of trash bags. The coroner identified the 2 people as Matthew Johnson and Christina Dixon, both reported missing out of Richmond earlier that week. Johnson was shot and stabbed, and Christina had been strangled. Court documents detail how multiple witnesses and the Richmond police helped connect this man, Dominique Washington, to the 2 victims. Richmond PD told Fort Wayne detectives Johnson and Dixon were both police informants in an investigation that led to a drug raid 2 weeks ago at a Richmond home where multiple narcotics were found. Court docs say Richmond police told detectives Dominique Washington went by Nico and was a known drug dealer with a connection to the raided house. Police used surveillance video and witness accounts to place Washington picking up Johnson at the Genesis apartment complex and then picking up Dixon from a Richmond home on Thursday. Monday night, Washington was arrested during a traffic stop as he tried to leave this home on Campbell Ave. Washington is now being held without bond, charged with murder and kidnapping in the deaths of both Johnson and Dixon.
He killed them both at the same time. He shot one and strangled the other one. Listen, I don't even want to be involved in these type of lives. It's just too stressful. It's just too stressful. I can't be associated with criminal behavior. It's just not worth it. I like being able to go to sleep at night knowing that I'm going to wake up and I ain't got to worry about my freedom being taken away from me or me being killed and dragged inside of a river. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. All right, let me acknowledge this super chat, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. Best Man Podcast says, getting serious about getting to the bag and inquired about a coaching call. Thanks for all of the value that you bring. Thank you, my friend, and thank you for rocking out with me. Somebody in the chat said, Anton, any more little ones in the future? I don't know. I'm still mining out all of the possibilities. I'm still thinking about what could be. Some people that's here for the Millionaire Morning Show may not be aware, but we had a conversation about all the different ways that you can have children and putting it together and stuff like that. So I'll keep you informed if I decide that I'll have another little one running around here somewhere. Music Wins 1977 says, prostitution is as old as time. The po-po ain't never stopping that moose knuckle money. That's true. It's the oldest profession. The oldest profession ever. You are absolutely right. Shout out to Music Wins 1977. Let me go ahead and get it popping. Y'all ready to get into the show? Diddy. Might as well start with the news and get it out of the way early before we get over into the migrant crisis. So a new woman, and I haven't reviewed the video, so I'm going to be looking at it for the first time just like you guys. A new woman is waking up out of the blue, and she's saying that Diddy and his bodyguard, or former bodyguard, drugged and then took advantage of her. All right? So let's look at the latest person to accuse Diddy, the diddler, of diddling. And then we gonna go from there. Let's go here. I love it when I see him cry with the white, all white on like an angel and they crying at the same time. I don't know. We're going to evaluate it. We're going to look at it for what it is, and we're going to try to determine whether or not she's telling the truth.
Legal troubles are mounting for Sean Diddy Combs. An alleged victim has filed a new lawsuit against him.
This as Combs remains behind bars in a Brooklyn jail following his arrest on sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell joining us live in the studio with the latest developments on this one.
Well, the plaintiff in this lawsuit, Tiege Graves, as you just heard, extremely emotional as she delivered prepared remarks explaining how this incident back in 2001
I did say it got something to say. I seen the UN meeting. I'm manning it out. I'm putting it together so we can have a whole show for it tomorrow. I'm going to go through the UN meeting. I want to make sure I got all of the facts and I can speak to it clearly.
Ever changed her life. More legal trouble for Sean Diddy Combs, who now faces an 11th lawsuit, which comes 1 week after Combs was indicted in New York on federal sex trafficking, racketeering, and prostitution charges. Tiege Graves was 25 years old, dating a Bad Boy Records executive back in 2001 when she claims she was summoned to a meeting with Sean Diddy Combs, given a drink that caused her to briefly lose consciousness, then awoke to find herself bound and restrained. Graves says she was raped by Combs and later found out the incident was recorded.
The trauma of the assault has taken a toll on my mental health. I've had PTSD, depression, and anxiety. I'm emotionally scarred. It has been hard for me to trust others, to form healthy relationships, or even feel safe in my own skin.
Also named in the lawsuit, Combs is head of security, who Graves claims was responsible as well when she was slammed onto a table, her cries for help ignored.
Look at all of the people that they're suing. They're doing this for a reason. Sean Combs, Joseph Sherman, Daddy's House Recordings, because that means they can then go after all of the residuals and stuff like that if they were able to get a judgment. And so since he's already convicted in the court of public opinion, it's easy to go ahead and go after all of the resources because this is not actual criminal investigation. This is a lawsuit to get money. Remember that. This is a lawsuit to get money. I want y'all to be able to understand the difference between the two. This is a civil suit, not a criminal complaint. This is a civil suit, not a criminal complaint. This is a lawsuit with no evidence, just her word of what she says happened 23 years ago. Okay? Daddy's House Recordings, CE, Opa Co., I don't know what that is, LLC, Combs Global, Combs Enterprises, Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings, Bad Boy Production Holdings, Bad Boy Books Holdings, Bad Boy Records, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Productions, Organization. Jesus Christ. She want everything. Let's continue.
As well when she was slammed onto a table, her cries for help ignored.
Defendants caused plaintiff to be depicted in a video image, unclothed and with intimate body parts exposed, and engaged in sexual conduct with another person. She would never have consented to the videotaping and did not consent.
Graves' attorney, Gloria Allred, says her client did not come to her after last week's indictment and that her client first learned of the video recording last year, over 20 years since the alleged incident. They believe the recording may still be out there, being viewed, and asked for it to be destroyed.
It's a pain that reaches in.
They believe that a recording is still out there, but they've never seen one, yet she learned about it last year. Just so happened to be around when? Don't worry about it. And they're hoping for it to be destroyed, but they're not sure that it actually exists, but they heard that it exists. And it's a civil suit from 23 years ago.
To your very core.
Let me go ahead and get the whole thing. Let me see if I can pull her up and get the whole thing, because ain't no point in going back and forth about this. Y'all know how I feel.
Thank you for coming today. I'm attorney Gloria Allred.
And with me,
Big dog
is our
attorney.
client, Plaintiff Thalia Graves. Today we filed a lawsuit in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, for our client, Plaintiff Thalia Graves, who is given permission to use her name. The case number of the 26-page complaint, Sean Diddy Combs, also known as the defendant, and another individual and other entities. The complaint alleges in part in the first cause of action that defendant Combs and another defendant committed a, quote, violation of New York City Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence, supporting it. Defendants caused plaintiff to be depicted.
I want to hear her.
in
I don't
a
want to hear
video-
all of that.
Okay, a little more.
Got the prepared statement. Typed it up on a nice letterhead. Give the pat on the back. Make sure you rub on the back. It's going to be okay, honey. It's going to be good. Don't worry about it. Take your time. On cue. Jesus Christ. Oh, gosh. You can't make this stuff up. On cue. And roll.
The internal pain after being sexually assaulted has been incredibly deep and hard to put into words. It goes beyond just physical harm caused by and during the assault. It's a pain that reaches into your very core of who you are and leaving emotional scars.
Hey, lawyer, make sure she's reading this right.
Some of the hardest parts of this pain are the shame and the guilt I have experienced that plays a negative part in my day-to-day ability to function properly. Being blamed, questioned, and threatened has often made me feel worthless, isolated, and sometimes responsible for what happened to me. My family issues made the pain even worse. I was already going through a divorce at the time of the assault and did not get the support that I needed. I was also faced with disbelief and judgment. This has put a strain on my selection of men and relationships. Where many relationships became aggressive and abusive, which has made me feel even more alone in my struggles. I go through spells of being distant and withdrawn that it's sometimes so hard to leave my house. The trauma of the assault has taken a toll on my mental health. I've had PTSD, depression, and anxiety.
Is that self-diagnosed or is that clinically diagnosed? How do you get diagnosed with stuff like that? I'm just curious, just asking a question. Like, do you go in and you say, these are my symptoms? Is it something that they measure? Do they look at your heart rate and say, hey, when I say this word, your heart rate goes faster? Just curious, just asking. How do you then get diagnosed, or do you self-diagnose? Do you go in there and say, oh man, I can't leave my house, I'm so tired today? I remember in 2008 when I was broke, I had PTSD. You know, from what? From them repossessing my car. I still, when I see a tow truck today, I get, honestly, when I see a tow truck today and it say not for hire on that joint, and I see that thing in the back or I see somebody's car, I started getting PTSD. I said, you know what? Let me go ahead into the studio and work a little bit harder. I'll never, ever, ever, ever want to experience that ever again in my life. I get PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I get post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know what that S stands for. Post-traumatic stress disorder. When I see a tow truck from when my cars got repossessed in 2008, 2007, 2008 during the housing crisis, whoa, that was a recession.
I'm emotionally scarred. It has been hard for me to trust others, to form healthy relationships.
Me too, baby, me too.
Or even feel safe in my own skin.
I don't feel safe either.
Flashbacks, nightmares, and intrusive thoughts.
Courtney, tell me about it. I be getting it. I know it ain't no joke.
It's a constant struggle. I also suffer with physical problems such as chronic pain, sexual discomfort. The violation I have experienced during the assault has had lasting effects on my body, causing ongoing health problems and complications. The combination of physical and emotional pain has created a cycle of suffering from which it is so hard to break free. I want to continue on this journey towards recovery and healing. I am glad that he is locked up, but that's a temporary feeling of relief.
Is that the end of the statement? Let me see if anything else happens.
Dahlia is not going to be taking any questions, but I'll be happy to take some questions.
Why is she not taking no questions? Hold on. We got questions. So, all right, so let me get this straight. Because you know me, I'm from Detroit, so we got to look at it a little bit different. Our lens is a little different than y'all's. I see Noticias Telemundo, Fox 11, KTLA 5, CNN, KFL, what is that? I see Extra. I see the Extra microphone over there. I see, it looked like one from Atlanta. So we know we got Los Angeles, New York, Atlanta, all of them is in there. Along with Extra, CNN, Noticias Telemundo. We got all of these microphones in there, all right? So, with that being said, let me ask just a couple different questions. Number one, was there ever any kind of police report, filing, or do we just go just based off of your tears? Because I'm not saying that it didn't happen. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, how do we know that it did happen? I mean, I know it's easy to just label it, but why can't every woman in America just wake up and say, you know what? Diddy did it to me. He did it. There's no way for him to defend himself. He's struggling with this whole FBI case. It was Diddy's fault. We know Diddy did it. How do we know? I mean, what evidence do we have? Do we just go based off of her testimony? Is it court of public opinion? Why did they call every single news source that they possibly could? And why is this only a civil suit? Why did they call all of these people? You're right. You absolutely right, Kyla. How do we even know that he even know her? How do we even know that she was... How do we know this? How do we know for sure? For 100% certain, how do we know? How do we know? Honestly. And again, I'm not saying that it is, and I'm not saying that it's not. All I'm asking is, how do we know? How do we know? I think it's a reasonable question to ask. How can we verify this? Was it a lie detector test that she took? Is it some sort of evidence? Does she still got the panties? I don't know. All I'm saying is by default, I don't care who you are and what you talking about, by default, I automatically am going to meet every person with an accusation, especially if it's over 20 years later, with skepticism. And I'm not talking about a kid that went through some trauma and they mama shut him up. I'm talking about a grown folk, a grown adult that was telling us something for us to believe but have no evidence to substantiate it and is only filing a civil suit. So, all right, last question, and then we're going to move over to the next thing. Is it the money that fixes the situation? Because I'm trying to figure out, does money, because money solves a multitude of problems. We know that. That is scripture. Money solves a multitude of problems. That's scripture. Okay, cool. So is the money the thing that's going to fix all of the things that you feeling allegedly based off of the tears? And will the money also fix your lawyer's passion to call all of these reporters out there in order to get the word out? I don't believe nobody. I don't believe nobody. Question everything. Question everything. Question it. When they just telling us to believe it just because you said it, I don't know you, man. I don't know you. I'm questioning everything and everybody. That's where I stand. That's where I've been standing, and that's why what I'm stood on. You know what I'm saying? Sister, shout out to my rich friends. Good morning, Mr. AD and the Chasers fam. I missed you. I am in none mode. She said, I ain't in monk mode. I'm in none mode. Male equivalent of monk mode. Shout out to my girl sister in the building in none mode. Getting to it. Chadford says, Tish is crazy. I waited all that time to say something instead of going to the cops. When it doesn't happen, I bet she even resisted and consented. That's what I'm saying. My initial reaction is not to call a lawyer, but to call the police. If anything, call 911. Call 911. Call the police. 911. Emergency, please. The diddler diddling. Call 911. 911 emergency. Call 911. Trey D says the freak offs ain't the issue. The issue is a drug and a graping. Allegedly. James Watts says, morning AD bag chaser salute. You don't grind, you don't get nothing. Your value and work ethic has inspired me to go harder. I want my T-top 79 Carlo. My Nicolo. I love them. I love the T-tops. Deshaun Rose, see mine, I'm more of a Grand National type of guy because I had my first car was an 86 Buick Regal. 86 Buick Regal. You know what I'm saying? Rag top. Good morning, AD, and salute to the Chasers. Hit the like button. Y'all get the likes up. What are we doing here? Well Building Journey says, and a winner for the category of best attributes goes to Eric Harris says, I'm going to file a case against Diddy for manipulating me to believe he owns Ciroc. Facts. I brought many bottles under the impression I was supporting black-owned business. That's your fault. That's what you get for being blackity black. This show is worth the likes and the free friends. Talk about it, Annie Marie. And my dog, Jay Ben, says, how do I get a job in the witness protection or the witness statement procurement and scripting department? I could write some mean stories. I mean, dog, I could make for $15 million. You see how that worked? You see how that worked? Look at my eyes. Oh my God, I can't. You see how that worked? I'm crying real tears right now. Somebody give me a Netflix deal. Somebody give me a Netflix deal. Hold on, let me wipe my. Somebody get me a Netflix deal. Somebody get me a Netflix deal. Where you at, Netflix? Where you at? Can I get a deal or no? Oh man. Oh man. That you say 350? I get at least 350 for that? All right. Okay, we in there. We in there like swimwear. You see how my eyes cleared up that fast? I bet you they went out of that meeting was like, we got him this time. We got him, Gloria. All right, y'all. All right, come on, man. We be fooling. Y'all know what we do on the Millionaire Morning Show. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel. If you're not a bag chaser, make sure you get into the Patreon. Link is in the description. I got to get that pin to the top of the chat. Give me a second. Got to get that up there before I cry some more tears. There it is. So we're going to pin that to the top of the chat and make sure that y'all have the ability to tap into the Patreon and be able to tap into the show. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all. All right, bet. Y'all said I needed to drool a little bit. All right, next time I'm going to drool. I'm going to do a little bit of, you know how look, you know how the kids do that when they can't stop crying? If you say one more tear, sniff one more time, and I'm going to have your neck. Oh, make sure y'all tune in and let's rant about it tonight. Let's get to it. All right, let me read a couple more super chats and then we're going to keep it moving. Just wanted to say thank you, says Darius Davenport. You have a huge impact on my life and growth as a man. Love you, big dog, for real, for real. I love you too, bro. Real talk from the bottom of my heart, man. I really do love y'all. Dean Murray says, did you ever think you would be this rich? A Sean Combs documentary by Tyler Perry. Annie Marie says in the Emmy for the best new actor for Anton. Yeah, we gonna get that diddler money. I tell you what, I G'd up ain't special delivery. I want that. Diddy bobbing all the way to the bank. I want that special delivery. All right, now, I want to deep dive a little bit further into this migrant crisis, okay? All jokes aside. Greatest morning show on earth. Send this to your family and friends. They should be watching this too. I want to deep dive a little bit more into this migrant crisis, okay? And the reason that I want to deep dive a little bit more into the migrant crisis is because I think that maybe we're not looking at it from all sides. Maybe, perhaps, possibly, we're not looking at it holistically. And we're short-sighted, and we only looking at it just from one way. So yesterday we discovered that they were flying them over here, but I couldn't understand how they were getting them over here and how they could legally do it. And so I finally threw a little birdie that said something on this live stream. And then I was able to go down this rabbit hole and find the documentation that legally allowed for the Biden administration, which includes Kamala Harris, to be able to fly them over here. And I said, okay, now I understand it. And then I also took the perspective and I said, well, if you were them, would you do it any differently? The migrants, Venezuelans, Cubans, Haitians, whoever, right? Whoever is coming over here illegally. You know what I'm saying? Would you do it any differently? Absolutely would not. I would take advantage of the system too. So that only leads us to hold ourselves and our legislators accountable because they took advantage of us voting them in and we're acting willfully ignorant to who they are. We know what happened over the last 3.5 years, yet we sitting here fighting for an election, acting like we didn't have them in office in the last term. Fair enough, fair enough. Well, with that being said, let's take a couple segments and dedicate it to the migrant crisis. And first, I want to start with the core, the heart of America. Not middle America, New York City. And I want to find out what are the major issues and where people stand in this upcoming election, especially with regard to immigration and the migrant crisis. Let's get into it.
Well, tonight we continue our series, Campaign Promises. Yesterday we touched on the economy, but tonight...
She bad. She bad. That's just the facts. She's very well put together.
We are going to talk about where the candidates stand on immigration.
All right, Fox 5 Sharon Crowley here once again. She talked with voters to get the pulse of the people on these important issues. Sharon.
Well, as you guys know, we're in a city of immigrants, right? So, of course, it's easy to understand why New Yorkers have plenty of opinions about immigration. Voters sounding off to me about what's happening at the border and about asylum seekers living here now. Now, while these voters held pretty different opinions, they all agreed on one thing. They want the next president to do something to improve things when it comes to immigration.
Everybody deserves a shot.
It's never been like this. You know, you see, homeless people and migrants and people getting robbed and pushed and walk down the street, they're grabbing pocketbooks.
They have to come up with an immigration deal and reasonable ways
all of the
for
men
people to stay here legally. There's so many wonderful immigrants here who have contributed so much.
And they come here, they have nothing, and they're given a place to live, a phone, money. And money.
It's an issue.
His wife was telling him what to say. She said, money.
Because I'm not from here, I'm from Barbados, so it means something to me.
Immigration is on the ballot this year. Voters in both parties want to know what candidates plan to do about it. Concerns heightened by a surge in border crossings and the busing of migrants to places like New York City.
And we have seen immigration rise as a concern nationally, mostly bubbling up from Republicans. And it really peaked after December when the migrant situation at the border hit record levels. But it's continued to be high. And so we continue to see Republicans particularly concerned about the issue, more so than even in 2016, when in that election Donald Trump made immigration an issue.
Lydia Saad is the director of U.S. social research at the Gallup poll.
I think they support immigration. They think immigration has been a good thing for the country. They don't support illegal immigration. They want to see people come into the country through legal means.
And I think that line is blurred. And that's where I have the problem, is because she's saying, and I understand what she's saying, legal migration into this country. The problem is that you have so many people that came into this country illegally that now they have an interest because they have an emotional tie to how they got here, and they're justifying other people being able to do it because they did it the same way. And so when you set a precedent that people can do things illegally and be successful or be celebrated from it, you create an environment where the people that come after them are validated and they saying, well, they did it. Or the people that came over here and took over a town. Think about it for a second. Let's say hypothetically, that at some point in the near future, Springfield, Ohio, right? They are going to have children and they're going to populate. And over a span of 10, 20, 30, and 40 years, right? Because it only takes really one generation to change the face of a city or change the face of an election or change the face of what happens in that city. I mean, we went from bankruptcy here in Detroit in 2008 to thriving at a surplus and building new buildings in 2024. It takes one generation to completely upend everything. So let's say, for example, you take these people and they come into your city and they're 1/3 of the population overnight in Springfield. They went from 39,000 to 60,000+, and 22,000 of them are newly arrived Haitian migrants. Cool. and upended everything. It upended the school system, infrastructure, accidents is up, geese is being captured, all of that. And let's say over a period of whatever many years that they populate and they get legal status and all of this stuff. And at some point, either their offspring or the future generation, or at some point, even them themselves will be able to vote in our elections to determine who's going to be your mayor, police chief, maybe even influence what happens on the national election side, infrastructure, taxes, tax base, cars, and everything that they've learned is still with them, that comes with them from the culture that they came from, which then changes the dynamic of what you have going on in your city. And then what if one day they woke up and they said, you know what? We felt like we was done wrong back in 2024. We was persecuted. And we control the majority of what happens over here because we the majority of the population. And so now we're going to tell you what to do. And not only that, we believe that we need somebody that represents us, that looks like us in the city council, that can speak to our needs. You know what? We the majority of the population here. Why shouldn't we be the priority? I don't care how long y'all been here. We are the majority, and we need people that look like us because we play an identity politics role. And not only that, we gonna swing it our way. And if you say anything against us, you know what, 100 years from now, maybe even 50 years from now, 20 years from now, we didn't like the persecution that we got back in 2024. We're going to come back and we want to be reparated as a result of that. It's difficult for me to just take this at face value because everything that I do, and I've been trained to look at things from a 10, 15, 20-year view. So when I see things happen today, I'm not paying attention to what you think is affecting you now, but how it's going to change the face of what America does and what our culture is and how we move going forward in the face of this nation. Is that why we sitting here having a conversation about Kamala Harris getting elected to the president of the United States in the first place? Let's continue.
But once they get here, that's where you find more partisan split in terms of Republicans in favor of sending people back, Democrats and independents less so.
Now the border is 25 times worse than it was in 2016. Now the border is not even believable what's happening. And I want to be known as your border president. I'm going to be known as your border president.
Former President Donald Trump made illegal immigration central to his first run for office in 2016. If elected again, Trump promises to seal the border, start mass deportations of illegal immigrants, and demolish foreign drug cartels.
We must also reform our broken immigration system and protect our dreamers and understand.
A dreamer.
We can do both, create an earned pathway to citizenship and ensure our border is secure. We can do both, and we must do both.
Vice President Kamala Harris under President Biden was assigned to examine the root causes of the border crisis. She promises to reform the immigration system by going after drug cartels and human traffickers. She also supports deploying more detection technology to intercept fentanyl at the border.
But not in any way, shape, or form has she ever, in her immigration plan, said that she needs to stop the flow of illegal migrants into this country. Whenever they ask her the question, she skirts around it. Let me say that again. I want to go after the drug cartels and the human traffickers. And I want to get detection technology in order to stop the fentanyl at the border. But I'm not really trying to stop the border crossings or even the flying over here into the cities that are now upending what you got going on in your daily lives because you didn't even see it happen until it was already at your doorstep. When you wake up in the morning, 20,000 right there at your doorstep. Again, I don't blame the migrants. They just doing what they allowing them to do. They playing right into their hands. Here's a small town called Fairhope. They got word of a little birdie that said that, you know what, it's over 1,000 migrants that's already on their way over there. And so guess what the people did? They came out in droves to have a discussion.
We've got breaking news tonight. Reports of up to 1,000 Haitian immigrants coming to Baldwin County in the next few weeks, specifically Fairhope. And that prompted quite the turnout at tonight's City Council meeting. Our Lee Pack is in Fairhope. Lee, you were at that meeting and you say it got hot.
Yeah, hey, Lenise, it did get heated at times. I can tell you, like you just said, the turnout was overwhelming tonight. But right off the bat, Mayor Sherry Sullivan and other council members tried to shut this down, calling it a rumor, saying there's no truth to it. Take a listen.
To be clear, we have not seen or received any notification that that is happening, nor is it expected to happen in Fairhope.
So just imagine my surprise when I start getting text messages and emails that we were inviting immigrants to live in our city. And folks, let me just tell you, that's just patently false. It's just false. We've never even had a conversation up here. Never. Not even in a work session, not even in a council meeting.
We're not going to be a sanctuary city. We don't have any desire to be that. And the last number I'd heard was up to 30,000 refugees. So, you know, it went from 1,000 to 5,000 to 15 to 30. So,
look at all of those good white folks. Because you know one thing about our good white people, our snow hares and our snow bunnies. And don't get me wrong, I love my snow hares and snow bunnies. I'm absolutely 100% in support of my snow hares and my snow bunnies as long as you're doing things legally and you're a good person. If you're a good person, I rock with you no matter what the color of your skin is, as long as you're doing it legally. But look at the overflow in there. These people are vigilant. And they woke up and they said, we see what's happening over there in Aurora. We see what's happening over in Springfield. We see what's happening in that small Pennsylvania town. We got to know what's happening. Because we are not about to subject ourselves or our children to a wave that's happening all across America, and it's coming.
And I can tell you, I've covered a lot of hot button issues here on the Eastern Shore. Not only was the council chambers standing room only, but the overflow filled up the lobby over here. And I can tell you, it's an extensive lobby. A lot of people coming in to express their opinions. Some of them taking offense to what some of the council members said, trying to dismiss some of the reports on social media saying it got out of control and that people need to use common sense when looking at social media.
When you see a bunch of men that got this missing right here, but they got all of this right there, it's getting serious. It's getting ugly. It's getting real shabba ranks. When you see a bunch of men that's missing this right here, but they got all of this right here, it's about to get real shabba ranks up in this mug.
They didn't like what they heard there, but some of this does stem from a signature, a letter that was signed by Council President Corey Martin in 2022 at the height of the Ukrainian war, saying he supported helping women and children refugees. He said he wasn't speaking for the council and that none of this has anything to do with the other. He doesn't know how it got to this point, but a lot of people speaking their mind tonight, some of them even comparing this to what's happening in Springfield, Ohio with the Haitian immigration population there. But a lot of people who spoke really just saying that they don't believe Baldwin County nor Fairhope.
Look at the men right there. All of that thinning. Red shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt, all shirts. Call that the George Burns. It's called the donut. If you want to look like a good lawyer, shave this. I don't even care if you don't. Listen, I don't care how old you are. You could be 27 years old and you got a full head of hair. If you want to be a good lawyer and you want to make some money, you shave this. You keep this. Get it faded down. Fade it down on the sides. Get your mustache. Keep the beard low. Shave this off. That's a lawyer for your ass right there. He gonna get you out of jail. He getting you out of jail. 100%. I don't want no lawyer unless he missing the top of his hair. Does that mean you ain't been through nothing? You wasn't in the dirt. You wasn't in the mud with the client trying to figure out the loopholes or how to get him out of jail. I want my lawyer no hair at the top, donut on the sides. Otherwise, get them out of here. Book them, Dano. Get them out of here.
Hope could accommodate just a mass relocation of immigrants.
And I want to say that I support legal immigration, and I think most people in Fairhope probably do. You know, we do, but not illegal immigration.
I wanted to come to address the fact that our schools really cannot take on any more students, especially students that don't speak English.
People are concerned.
Our teachers, our schools are maxed out. Our teachers are at capacity. I was at my son's baseball game when I listened to what you were saying, and I want to remind everyone why we're here. We're here because of a letter that you signed. We're not here because we're incompassionate or we don't have feelings. Or we
Oh, so they did sign a letter and they trying to act. So we didn't have any conversations. We just signed the letter.
care about people. And you know what? All I could think of when you were talking is that you were gaslighting every single one of us.
Looks like y'all stepped in it, didn't you? Tell us what you're going to do if this does come to pass. Okay, y'all are sitting up here all smug and everything. Tell us what we need to know.
When I heard what our mayor said, and then I heard what you...
Look, listen. Shout out to the chat. Laura Havoc says, I just subscribed to say you look like Rick Ross off Temu. You look like a piece of hair on my balls. You know what I'm saying? You look like the piece of hair off my ball sack. If this wasn't a Millionaire Morning Show, I would go all the way in, but I understand that there's some people that's at work right now. They got me on the TV screen in the lunchroom. Just know, I don't talk to people that got video game characters in their profiles.
I felt like, okay, you're all saying, don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. We're not going to approve this. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter whether you approve it. It's going to happen.
Now, my question to you specifically is, Fairhope Police Department ready to handle this? What's the answer on that?
I want to put you all on notice. You don't start doing your job.
I'm sorry, Gam.
Haitian immigrants, both those here
I'm sorry,
documented
Gam.
and undocumented, commit crimes at lower rates than native-born Americans do. According to the Cato Institute, I hate having to cite them.
Yeah, well, we listen to our constituents. We hear them. We don't want any fear factors. We want to let our constituents know that there are no illegal anybody coming in. The program that I signed was about 3 years ago. It was a federal program. There was never ethnicity involved. It was about displaced refugees, and that's our, you know, when you're given much, you're expected to do much. So the protection of women and children is something that I stand on, and I don't see a problem with that as long as it's in a legal fashion.
You had to come to the TV.
Again, that was Council President Corey Martin responding to what was said tonight just after the meeting. It's also important to note that his wife got up there during the public participation part and defended him, saying a lot of this was taken out of context and really challenging the people in the audience who were speaking out, saying if they think they can do a better job, well, then sign up. We also spoke to Congressman Jerry Carl earlier today. He's in Washington. He weighed in on this, said for the better part of this weekend, he's been working with county officials and city officials here in Fairhope to track down the source of this.
Gam,
he
I
says
said,
at
what
this
up,
point,
Nessie?
there's no truth. It's unfounded, but he will continue to try to get to the bottom of this and perhaps.
So, cities all across the United States of America is concerned. They are concerned, and they want to know whether or not migrants are going to be coming to their town, because now we are fighting for America. I will tell you right now, well, let me save that. I'll save that for the next segment because we're not done talking about migrants, but I do want to take a minute. And yeah, I was trying to figure out if that was his voice also. I was trying to figure out if he's transitioning or not, but I don't know. Maybe he was just born with that. Maybe he was born with that voice. Tax Smith says, every time I tune in A.D. Wilden, for real though, get this man a Netflix deal. Netflix, I need my 20 million. I'd do it for 10 though. JG says, word is that Solanus is thinking of killing the Ram truck. I warned him this day. The trucks are saying 100 days on a lot. Is this true, AD? I've been watching Stellantis and all of the... Listen, I'm paying attention to everything. Everything. I am watching everything. Trust me. As soon as I confirm what I think I know, I will be the first person here to talk to you about it on the Millionaire Morning Show, all right? So I'm watching. I'm looking at all the blogs. I'm looking at the Ram Reddits and blogs and all that stuff. I'm paying attention. Stephen Slayer 1 says there needs to be a law that only American-born or legal migrants who have kids can become American citizens at birth. But the problem with the American-born is that if you understand Asian culture, especially Chinese people, they fly over here under the guise that they are normal and that they are not pregnant, and then they have their children on American soil and then go back to their country so that their kids can have dual citizenship. It's a finesse. Listen. Jeremy H. says, AD, have you heard about Angela Also Brooks, Dem candidate for senator, and a friend of Cam is in trouble for cheating on her taxes? I didn't. I got to find it. Send that to me. Trump is currently winning in the polls, says Smooth Artist. Jay Ben says, every time Mystique speaks, all I hear is house sway. Shout out to you. And Darren Walker in the building says, to be a good lawyer, tell the barber to leave the sides. Shave the top. Clean, baby. All right? Let's pivot for a second. All right? Because I want to look at it from the other side. Because if you look at all of these other news segments, they'll lead you to believe that, it's not really a crisis. And these people are actually coming over here and they're contributing members to society and they're good for the economy and they're adding value to our lives. And I'm open to that. I'm always open to hearing different sides. So I'm going to show you a couple different videos. First, we're going to summarize this from NBC News on the other side, and we're going to try to look at this from a liberal perspective. We're not just going to look at it conservatively. We're going to look at it from the liberal perspective. Because you know how when you're in an argument with your girl and she's like, you don't understand. You only see it one way. You only see it from your perspective. You need to look at it from other people's perspectives. You need to look at it from somebody else's lenses. And I'm like, I don't really care about looking at it from nobody else's lenses. All I know is what I know. I'm a monster. I'm a barbarian. I'm a man, and all I know is what men think. I don't want to look at it from your feminine perspective. But you don't like to talk. Anytime that you don't like something, you just cut people off. You just shut down. That's all I know. So then I step out and say, okay, let me try to look at it from your perspective. And then when I start hearing them talk, all I hear is womp, 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 womp. I'll be like, yeah, I get you. You made a good point there. All right, so we're going to go back to doing it my way. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go back to doing it my way. Because my way is the best way, But that's just who we are. That's who we are as people, as men, right? So sometimes we're going to make a concerted effort to try to look at it from both sides. So today, in this segment, for the next 12 minutes, we're liberals, all right? Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Another city with a growing Haitian population on edge after more inaccurate claims from former President Trump.
Charleroi has experienced a 2,000% increase in the population of Haitian migrants under Kamala Harris. The schools are scrambling to hire translators for the influx of students, and the town is virtually bankrupt.
Here in Charleroi, Pennsylvania, just like in Springfield, Ohio, local Republicans say Haitians have been an asset to the community.
The Haitian immigrants here have a very good reputation. Problem is that the federal government dumped these people in and aren't providing any resources.
In recent years, many came illegally to Charleroi to work at the local meat processing facility, like Pierre Richard Montplaisir. Do you think that what former President Trump is saying is true, that Haitians are having a negative impact here?
No. When I came here like 4 years ago, so the town was a ghost town. And now we got a group of people that are working and paying tax.
Montplaisir also works as an interpreter for the school system. 5 years ago, 12 students were learning English as non-native speakers. This year, that number is 225.
Created a job. Now he's a translator. And when he got here, We'll put taxpaying citizens. Again, remember, we're liberals. We're looking at this from a liberal perspective.
We believe now diversity is our superpower.
But Superintendent Ed Zelich says the state has provided additional funding.
We're not struggling. Are there more things we would like to have? Absolutely. But I think any school district wouldn't be able to say that.
Misty Cassidy disagrees.
There's just so many people, and there's just not enough resources. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough.
That woman is stressed. Look at her. Look at her. I didn't even stop this on purpose at this particular point. That woman is stressed. Stress, early signs of a stroke, side of the face, slightly disfigured, hair thinning at the top. Okay? This woman is serious. She not sitting here telling no lies. I know a liar when I see one. That woman has been trying to figure out how to do the comb over the whole time. Side of the face, eye closing before the right eye, closing before the left eye. Left face, little disfigured. And she don't even smoke cigarettes. All she do is drink coffee. Hair, frazzled, thinning. This is stress. These are signs of stress, ladies. These are signs of stress, ladies and gentlemen.
Homes.
She's glad Trump, who she supports, has been calling attention to Charleroi and Springfield.
People need to know that it's just not Springfield. This is coming to a town near you.
What is coming to a town near you?
Haitians or immigrants.
Venezuelans.
That have poured over the border within the last couple of years.
Why is that a bad thing, given the fact that some would say the United States is a nation of immigrants?
They're not coming here to assimilate with us. They're coming here to take over.
Agreed.
It seems.
But Montplaisir says Trump's comments are harmful. How worried are you that what happened in Springfield with the threats and the harassment that Haitian immigrants, that they might happen here?
Yes, that's why they are afraid about it. That's why some of them want to leave the town.
Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News, Charleroi, Pennsylvania.
So let's pivot for a second, okay? So now that we're getting it from the other side, these are Haitian immigrants that are pleading with Trump and Springfield, Ohio residents and saying that we're not the problem, we're the solution, and we also feel as though we're under attack. Let's hear what they have to say.
My name is Dr. Talia Micah. I am here with ACPA, which is Houston Caribbean Professionals Association, and also HHU, Houston Haitian United as well. So I'm going to read this question first. The question is, when people look at Haitian people, what do they see? She perplexly asked. So thank you, Congressman, for having us here. This question was for my 9-year-old after she heard what's going on. Well, really, that was yesterday after we had a meeting. I went home and asked her again what's going on. So I am from a traumatic womb. I'll explain what that means. My grandmother was born in during the occupation of the United States of Haiti. My mom was born during Duvalier father, and I was born during the son. So I am literally from a direct line of traumatic wombs, and so is my children. So I have 2 kids. When all this came out, I had to explain to them why are they so hated, and for me, how it affected me personally, mentally. For a whole week, I actually didn't go to work for a couple of days out of the week. I stayed home because it was so traumatic. It wasn't traumatic just to me, it was traumatic to my children. I had to explain why. So when I talk about a traumatic room, traumas keep happening. When I moved here, that's when I learned that I was Black. So I had to learn that I was Black. Like, I knew I was born Black, but I am Black after moving here. So not only I had to deal with being a migrant, a legal migrant. I came here legally. I also had to deal with being Black. I also had to deal with being a woman, and now I'm dealing with the constant, talk about all the things being Haitian means. I do not stink. I don't eat cat. That's not part of our diet. We don't eat dogs. We eat chicken. We eat pork. We eat, the regular things everybody here eat. So I'll say this as well. So my daughter says, Mommy, when people looked at Haitian people, what do they see? Because I didn't know how to answer her, I asked her the question, how do you see yourself? She says, I see myself as someone beautiful and deserve to be respected. That is from a 9-year-old. Amongst all adults here, I do know we can do better if a 9-year-old can have this stance on how we deserve to be seen as who we are and be respected for it. This doesn't just affect us in, talking about this. You are causing constant traumatic trauma. You're causing trauma constantly.
You're causing traumatic trauma. I got you. I got you, baby. Let's let her get her whole thought out.
For a group of people just because. So I say.
So we're going to let her finish, but let's stop there for a second and let's have this conversation. We're causing traumatic trauma for a group of people just because. Just because? Just because. Okay, so let's explore that. So our federal government is flying people over here. At first, we didn't know how they were getting here. Somehow they were just popping up in small towns like Springfield, Colorado. 20,000 of them showed up at one time. Schools overrun. Children killed on school buses from accidents because they are driving cars without licenses. Resources being overrun. Cities and states are over budgeted. Majority of them are not here legally. So when we have these conversations, and listen, thank God for your 9-year-old being able to articulate themselves well. God bless you because you were able to get over into this country legally. But the problem with people, and I think y'all have a hard time separating it, is that there's a difference between coming over here legally and illegally, between having open borders or being flown here under disguise, hidden from the general American people, because let's be clear, we are a republic and we determine what happens when our elected leaders, elected out of ignorance, are making decisions that's not in the best interest of the people. What did you think that they were going to do? Sit there and let you kick their butts? They're going to revolt. They're going to revolt. Now, she is smart. She's smart. And she's biased, Zach. You're absolutely correct. She's smart and she's biased. She's biased because she's Haitian, but she's smart because she led with the same thing that she took the blueprint of the Victim Olympics and applied it so that you can then feel some sort of sympathy for her while at the same time trying to acknowledge her feelings. She led with, my daughter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is a classic tactic. She then followed up with, I learned that I was black here. And I'm a migrant. And I'm a woman. So I'm a triple minority. I'm a triple minority, not the triple, not the quadruple, dame dash, quadruple, double, double. I don't, what? You a woman? No. And you a black woman. What? And you a legal migrant. Jesus. You didn't know that you was black until you got here in the United States of America. So now, even though she can articulate herself well, I have to disqualify her argument because I know she's not coming holistically. She's not coming in truth. She's not being genuine in her discussion. Because you were blessed to be here does not mean that we're supposed to be tolerant of people that are overwhelming these cities and coming over here illegally. We can be sympathetic to your plight, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't get our own house in order before we start letting everybody else here unvetted. That's the problem. Let's continue.
This I want to stand in unity to dignify our collective community, as it as it says in the Haitian flag, l'union fait la force, unity is strength.
We don't care about the Haitian flag, respectfully. We can respect you as a person, but we fly American flags here. Americano. Another quello. This country is built on slave labor and cocaine, baby. One thing we like is we like our drugs and we like our women. That's for sure. That's the American flag. The blue stand for the slave labor, the white stand for the cocaine, and the red stands for the bloodshed. And we put some stars around it. And we wave that mug proudly. That's just the way it is. We not trying to have no other colors. What you talking about? This is the red, white, and the blue. What you talking about?
So, Congressman Green has talked a lot about unity. Yes. This is not just about, it was the Asian community a while back during COVID. It is the Haitian community. It's going to be the Muslim community. It's going to be the Latino community. It's going to be some other community. If we don't take a stance about it right now, this is affecting our children. Yes. So if the adults need to step down and let the children speak on this issue, let's do it, because the children understand how it's been affecting them. What I am proud about to hear is, with some people that were at the meeting yesterday, when I talked to them, they went home and talked to their children. Amen. And I did the same thing as well. And I constantly talk to my kids that you are beautiful, you're worth it, you are dignified, you're respected, you're loved, and all these things. So I speak on this from a different standpoint because of how I know it's affecting me mentally, my family mentally, and what gets me.
Passionate. The children. It's okay.
It's okay. Let him have his way. That's what they used to say in church. When you used to sing a song and you first start off singing that song and your voice crack a little bit. Lord, let him have his way. Hallelujah. Let him have his way.
Is that my children are being affected. Now that's a different conversation we need to have.
Now, here's the problem with this, all right? And let me just summarize this. Then we're going to move on. How do I say this nicely? How do I say this to where I still seem compassionate and empathetic to your needs? Because I do. I really do care. I care about humans across the world. You know, I care about Sudanese people. I care about what's happening over in the Congo. I think it's an atrocity. And I also think that needs to be solved in Sudan and in the Congo, not here in the United States of America. So how do I say this and still, be a nice guy? I'm going to just say it. We don't care about your children like you care about your children. Your children, respectfully, ain't cute to us. I don't even like when people sit there and force us with all of these baby pictures on their profile or your pictures of your kids all day, because I don't even like your kids. We got on Instagram, baby, to go and see some booty shaking, some cars, and some jewelry. You know what I'm saying? We want to see some controversy on these Instagram platforms. And it's TikTok. I don't care about your kids. Your kids ain't cute to us like you think we are. Oh my God, little Bookie is cute. Little Bookie he look a little slow. You might want to get him checked out to see if he belong in room 9. We don't care about your kids like you care about your kids. That's your kid. You supposed to care about your kid. God bless you. But that don't mean that I'm supposed to care about your kid because you decided to have a kid here in the United States of America. I mean, God bless your kid, but that's not my responsibility. That's your responsibility. Our responsibility is to clean up what's here in America and make sure Americans are prioritized first. We don't have time and resources to sit here and talk about what's best for your kid. That's your fault. You put your kid in that situation. When I was having a kid, I evaluated whether or not I actually thought that this world was conducive for my child. And I said, man, this world is evil. I don't know if I can have another kid. But then when I got richer, I said, you know what? I might be able to protect my kid and have another one, maybe. That's your kid. That's not my kid. You know what I'm saying? And you're right, they're going to endear themselves to the Democratic Party because they pander to them. So that's my thoughts on it, my authentic thoughts, and I don't care what people say. I said what I said. Sharik, 43, says, Anton, you a real fool. I just got back to the car and was trying to figure what happened and why you were crying. Because I was the diddler. I want to give him a couple million too. Sure, you giving out free millions, I'll take them. Jasmine Swan said they've made the U.S. Department of Treasury a charity for migrants with forced contributions from Americans. If we have an extra $20 billion available, it should be returned to Americans as a tax. Talk to him, Jazz. Talk to him, Jazz. I know we had our little disagreement the other day, but we don't disagree on this. Landmark 22 says, Rue, the West sabotaging these countries' economy. Jasmine Swan says, charity is voluntary. We are not obligated. Talk to him, Jazz. Paradont says, liberal perspective. Oh, more poor people to fund my lifestyle. Disgusting. Seems like it's easier to just be liberal. Her 9-year-old didn't say that either. I don't believe it, Smooth. I don't believe it. Jason, a team, Eagles says, if she is a legal immigrant, none of this has anything to do with her. That's what I'm saying. This is straight propaganda. We sick of the Victim Olympics real talk. I agree with you. Smooth Talk says, and she bald. All right. We're not going to go off on what her look is. That's not none of our business. Haitians are original FBA. The very term FBA ain't even original. Lincoln was sending slaves there until too much bad publicity. So essentially, they belong here. Yeah, get your ass on up out of the United States of America. We don't really care nothing about what you're talking about, big dog. She looked like Corey in the house. Night Jade says, see that? Indoctrinated into the victim mentality. White people are taught how they were victorious. Black people were taught how we were conquered. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Night Jade, shout out to you, baby. J. Ben says, Sanisha Kingston need to go and get playing herself. ABJ's wise, smooth, and strong says legal immigrants defending illegal immigrants. That's what you're seeing. New Ball says liberal single mother playing a victim. Yeah, where was the daddy at? That's what I'm trying to figure out. High Tolerance says let the Haitians vote blue and the Dominicans vote red. On another note, I'll be in an ATL making sure you check in with the big dog when you touch down. If not, she might shoulder check you. Shoulder lean, shoulder. Let me see you bounce. The American virus is freedom, says the Democrats are the middle school kid. Promise free ice cream and soda for lunch if he wins the class president. They use free like the money doesn't come from us. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. What y'all think, that this is free? That this is grown trees? Tierra Mari 2 says, meanwhile, I read that Sylacauga, Alabama, some white folk told the council to do something about the migrants coming into their town or they will. This whole crisis is not going to end well. It's only getting started, Tia Marie. And I've been preaching that this was coming for the last, 3 years, 2.5 years? We've been talking about the migrant crisis over here on the Millionaire Morning Show while everybody else was asleep. Tia, man, Turtle says, Candace Owens exposed that Cam Camp's picture with paternal grandmother is actually her great-grandmother. Interesting. All right, we'll deep dive into it. We'll figure it out. Listen, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's talk about, I want to go over to Trump because Trump talked about pleading to the auto workers. But before we do so, I want to talk about these blue cities being taken over by illegal sideshows. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock, y'all.
A series of car meetups in Philadelphia led to the hospitalization of a police officer and a bunch of damaged vehicles as well. Police say this kind of behavior cannot be tolerated. It is Sunday night. I'm Walter Perez. The big story in Action News is the response to these car meetups. Authorities believe the situation came in retaliation for recent police enforcement efforts. Action News reporter Brianna Gallagher joins us live from Spring Garden with much more. Brianna.
I got you,
Walter,
Zay
it was a
Suisse.
busy night for police. For hours, these car meetups caused chaos across the city. At times, over 200 vehicles were involved. Skid marks like the ones here along Pennsylvania Avenue can be seen at different locations throughout the city. Now, police are investigating a total of 11 incidents. A video from the Citizens app shows car meetups overnight in Philadelphia.
It's playing whack-a-mole. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. We hit them at one location, they move to another.
Starting at 9:30 in the Northeast, then hitting several locations across the city until 4:30 in the morning. It was a long night for Philadelphia police officers.
I agree, NBA.
We can see them doing the donuts, so we'll look out and just see the smoke coming up.
Here at 15th and Market, police say more than 100 cars were drifting into crowds of people. Now skid marks remain over the blacktop.
The incident outside of City Hall was aggressive. You know, they physically went after our officers.
From drifting, drag racing, a flamethrower, and fireworks, police say they attempted to run over 2 police officers. Instead, they hit an innocent civilian car.
I'm amazed that these people who are in these car meetups are literally standing in the middle of these cars doing donuts. It's extremely dangerous for them, and it's dangerous for people walking down the street.
You are not going to ever convince a criminal or negotiate with a criminal. You can't negotiate with them and say, hey, man, you shouldn't do criminal behavior. This is what criminals do. And when you have cities that basically gave in to lawlessness while at the same time saying, well, we want to defund the police, and then you handcuff the police that y'all had there by saying that, well, these other police officers, they can't say nothing to us. They can't do nothing to us. And if you touch me, I'll sue. If you touch me, I'll claim racism. If you touch me, then I'll claim police brutality. You can't chase me if I'm going more than 70 miles per hour in a residential area because it's going to endanger lives. And it's the police's responsibility to slow down, not the criminal's responsibility to not break the law. We become weak. We become docile. We've given our cities over to criminals, and then we stamped it by saying, and we shouldn't snitch on it. That's the culture that we live in.
Officials say officers were attacked and at least 5 police cars were damaged. Authorities believe last night's behavior was retaliation to recent police enforcement efforts.
Well, not only are you getting hit with a $2,500 fine, but oh, by the way, now we're turning your car over, we're confiscating your car as well.
Police want to be clear.
And they don't care because you can't even get through the streets. So what difference do it make? They blocking off the streets. They turned this into real life Need for Speed. Fast and Furious, the first 2 movies. Dom and Toretto. Toretto, I need me a 10-second car. Hey, Dom. Hey, what's going on, Nia? What are you doing here? What's going on, O'Connor? Toretto, and then you brought in The Rock. Toretto, you act like you got a choice, boy. I'm looking forward to it. This is when they was facing off, both The Rock and Dom. They were sitting there, and The Rock was like, you got a choice, boy. Now put your hands behind your back. Funny. You feel free? Do you seem like you under arrest? No, not even a little bit, Dom. What about you? You act like you got a choice, boy. I'll see you soon, Toretto. Looking forward to it. I used to love Fast and Furious before it became crazy.
This behavior will not be tolerated.
So when you hear that banging on the door, it will be us. We're coming with search warrants and we're coming with arrest warrants. So don't.
And then they had Bow Wow in there. On Tokyo Drift. Yeah. No.
We're going to lay down, allow this to happen in our city. We're not.
Now, there is a unit specifically for these illegal car meetups. Last weekend, there weren't any. Friday, there were a few. Last night, there were more aggressive, and they went later than normal. Now, officials are working with the DA's office to charge offenders who fled with eluding police. Now, police do have a lot of video from last night, but they're still asking people with additional video or information to please come forward. They want to talk to you.
Hey, come on forward. Let me talk to you. Let me have a conversation with you. But what we've come to determine now that we're seeing this all across America, I mean, it's happening everywhere. It's happening in Oakland. It's happening in New York. It's happening in Philadelphia, San Francisco. It's happening all across America. Everybody watched Fast and Furious and got excited. They all got inspired. And so all of these blue cities, it's only happening in blue cities, are basically falling and collapsing to lawlessness, and they have chaos to blame for it.
A shocking scene in Philadelphia over the weekend. Watch the absolute chaos as hundreds of vehicles descend on a busy intersection. Cars did donuts while hundreds of people took to the streets, lighting fires, throwing fireworks, jumping on cars. At least 5 police vehicles were damaged, some with their windows smashed and their tires deflated. Several officers were hurt in that chaos. It was the 11th illegal car meetup Philly police responded to in just one weekend. Oof. And they say someone even brought a flamethrower to one of them. Steve, we were talking about this, the absolute devolution of society.
Yeah, this is the collapse of civilized society, and this is normal now. I mean, you see scenes like that in Los Angeles pretty much every weekend. It's just not reported to the same degree, and is the direct result of policy choices. Far-left extremists in charge of DA departments and the defund the police movement, even if it's not actually defunding them, the demoralization of the police, so they feel there's no point in going after this kind of behavior, and it's the collapse of law and order that we all have a right to expect, but it can be overturned with the right policy choices from the right people in charge.
That's right.
You know, I'm just worried that children like mine and others who are, preteen and teenagers.
I see you, baby girl in the red. I see you.
Right now are watching this and thinking that we are.
That's my little giraffe. Look at her from a distance. I see you, red burgundy dress. That's my giraffe. That's my little giraffe right there. Talk to him.
Who are, preteen and teenagers right now are watching this and thinking that we are evolving into something that looks like Mad Max Thunderdome.
Y'all ever seen? Have y'all ever seen giraffes fight? They fight with their head. They do like this. They hit each other with their head, with their necks. They swing their necks at each other. Doop, doop. That's my giraffe. You looking good, my little giraffe over there.
It's really disturbing. And my girls, thank the good Lord, will be part of, I pray for, the solution. But what a mighty, mighty weight on a new generation. It doesn't have to be this way. They could be curing cancer. They could be doing so many other things. But we're going to have to save society because you can't live like this.
That's right. And Kaylee, Harris brings up such an excellent point that, for example, right there in Philadelphia, as well as Democrat-led cities throughout the country, the performance rate of students at public schools is abysmal. Yes. The vast majority cannot read or write or perform math at anywhere near the acceptable level.
Y'all not here
they
every
also
day.
have another thing in common, these blue jurisdictions. They love criticizing police officers. They loved the idea of defunding police and withdrawing resources until it became impractical. One civilian tried to charge at a police officer with their car. Another ran over a woman's foot. And the quote at the bottom of the CBS article was interesting. The city of Philadelphia Police Department is at an all-time low in manpower. We desperately need police officers. You think we could have told you that 4 years ago when you wanted to drain resources out of the department.
Yeah, but to Steve's point, the demoralization and the gutting of the administration or administrative sort of memory is real. This is a fundamental dearth in the police and law enforcement ranks, and who blames them? Their safety is at stake.
Well, I mean, a couple things. First, I spend a lot of time in Philly. It is not normally like this. It is a lovely city. But President Biden...
Cap, don't let me get Fi Brown on the phone. Let me get Fi Brown on the phone. Don't you cap to me. I spend a lot of time in Philly. It's a silly. We gonna get Philly cheesesteaks and we go and climb the steps like Rocky. I know what is really happening in Philly. I seen all of the open air drug markets. I seen it. And they out there looking like zombies. I know what's happening in Philly. I seen what you did last summer. Don't you lie to me. Don't you lie to me.
Biden gave the police more funding. At the congressional level, I think a lot of Democrats look at scenes like this, despite crime numbers in many ways going down, including murder rates. When people see this, they understand that this has an effect, right? You can't not see this and be concerned. So good that crime numbers are down overall, especially on violent crimes, but still got some work to do.
A last piece of data for you, Emily, to your point. Kamala Harris's Oakland, 75% of students can't read, write, do math at the grade level.
Oh, that's right. And any depletion of numbers or degradation is because of reclassification in part. So at the end of the day, people are unsafe, especially in Oakland and Philly and the like, and there's absolutely no replete there. More outnumbered in just a moment.
So they are looking to crack down as Gavin Newsom has instituted the latest law to crack down on sideshows. If you are a sideshower, I ain't talking about showing it from the side, you know what I'm saying? If you are a sideshower, beware. They're coming for you. Yeah, right. Especially not if you live in a blue city. Let me acknowledge some of the super chats, and then we're going to move on with the show because Trump is making a plea to auto workers. He has a message for you guys. Jason, 18, says, entitled in this country is the biggest issue. Most people think their lives come first. Always is rare I see humility in the public. Talk to him. Rev Tim Duncan, shout out to Rev, says, he said cocaine is slavery. Wade in the water. Flash Horton in the building said, this is not street racing or real car culture. I agree. It's not the same. Jay Ben, my resident street racing drift king, says, I'm glad they use good old American cars. Cops been ignoring my little Japanese vehicles ever since sideshows went mainstream. Sucks they keep closing the racetracks, though. Once the drag races hit the streets, keep Granny in the crib. Talk to my dog, Jay Ben. That's my guy. He keep me up to date on what's happening in these streets. Smooth Artist says, I know that throw game. Oh, Jesus Christ. Talking about her neck, not her. 86 Train says, detective here. We got runners, we got street racing on your side. These meetups will only get worse. Just happened in my neighboring town. Hitting too close to home. Won't change until we bring Judge Dredd back. Chasers, we up. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Patreon. It's a lot of game in there. It's a lot of money to go and get. Subscribe to the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Well, guess what? Guess what? On our way out the door, before we finish this live stream today, we got to understand what the message is to the auto workers. So Trump was pleading to auto workers in Atlanta, Detroit, and all across the nation. And he's recently had a town hall where he wanted them to hear this message. I haven't heard the message yet, but they sent it to me, and I think it's important for us to hear it. What does Trump have to say to the auto workers, and specifically Sean Fain? What does Trump have to say to him?
I really believe it. To the auto workers in Michigan, Georgia, and all other parts of our country, I am pinpointing you for greatness. Your industry has been decimated by many decades of incompetent leadership, both political and at your company level. You had presidents of your company that sold out our country. They didn't know what they were doing. They were horrible. And you had politicians that were grossly incompetent to let that happen. Your auto industry has been decimated. And again, with the electric car, it's all going to be made in China. The head of the United Auto Workers ought to be ashamed of himself for what he's done. But we're going to turn it around, and we're going to turn it around fast.
Sean Fain.
China is right now building major auto plants in Mexico. Did you know that?
It's true.
They were going to start with me. I said, no, if you do them, I'm putting a 200% tariff on every car that comes.
Here's the problem, right? We don't dislike electric cars. We don't like the fact that we're required, we're being forced to adopt a soulless. I think that they deserve a place. I think that they're awesome for certain circumstances and certain demographics of people. But for example, if you're a car enthusiast like myself, it's nothing like that turbocharged flat six. It's nothing like that supercharged V8. It's nothing like that V12, that Aston Martin Vanquish that just came out, V12. You know what's happening over at Stellantis? They're killing the Hellcat. They're killing internal combustion engines based off of this legislation and this overregulation. And they're basically going green, which is cool. I think that that's awesome. But I think that to transition into it without giving people a choice so fast and then affecting American jobs while at the same time China is incentivizing their auto workers to circumvent what's going on over here in America by then building their cars over there in Mexico, which is one of the reasons Trump headed this off in order to renegotiate the North American Free Trade Agreement. It's going to upend America and it's going to put you out of a job. You're voting for somebody that is going to put you out of a job. Stellantis, which oversees Chrysler and Dodge and Ram, is absolutely in shambles. And the very person that negotiated on behalf of the UAW with Stellantis is the person that's going to lose their jobs. Nobody wants an all-electric Charger. Nobody wants an all-electric Challenger. We don't care about the fratsonic sound. Nobody wants that. You're going to kill the industry itself. That's just the facts.
And they decided we'll pass. Then they said, wow, now we can build Trump. We won't have to worry about him anymore. Oh, here I am. Here I am. Here I am. We're leading in the polls. We're leading by a lot. We're leading by a lot. They said, oh, we don't have to worry about him. No, they have to worry about me. That's why they don't like me. You know, they used to like Obama. They used to like, they like Biden. You know why? Because they got away with murder. That's why they like Biden. They love Biden. Why would you like Biden except that you took advantage of him? They took advantage of him. And they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States and destroy Michigan and South Carolina and North Carolina and Georgia and all of the places that make autos. Not going to happen. We will put a 100% tariff on every single car coming across the Mexican border and tell them the only way they'll get rid of that tariff is if they want to build a plant right here in the United States with you people operating that plant. We want American citizens and we want their plants built here, not 2 feet over the border and selling them into our country. We're not doing that. We don't do that anymore.
I don't see why that's so unreasonable. I think that that is a solid plan. I think that that should have bipartisan agreement that if you're not making cars here, then you shouldn't be able to sell them here. Not assembling them here, making them here. Not assembling them here, making them here. I don't see any problem with that.
A friend of mine does auto plants. He builds auto plants. That's what he's great at. He's great, the biggest in the world. And I said, I want to see a plant. Pretty recently ago, I want to see a plant. Where would we go? I said, would we go to Detroit? Someplace in Michigan, ideally. He says, no, you can't go there, sir. They're not. We'll have to go to Mexico. The big ones are being built in Mexico. I said, why is that? He said, well, they have a lot of tax reasons, and China's coming in big, and they think they're going to make their car and sell it in tax-free into the United States. But the big ones, if you want to see a really big modern plant, come with me to Mexico. I said, I'm not interested in going to Mexico. I want those plants built here. And that'll happen. In fact, when they learn about the 100 or 200% tariff, you know, they'll probably say, yeah, let's stop construction immediately. You'll see a big difference. I will.
So think about this for a second, because this is not just a campaign rally. This is not just a campaign stop. This is the soul of America. I know too many people that work in these plants. I know people that are affected by the layoffs that's happening over at Stellantis / Chrysler right now. And they trying to pivot and figure out what other industries that they're going to get into. Let me tell you why this is important. And I'm going to tie it in for you. I'm going to tell you why this is important, and I'm going to tie it in for you. Okay? You ready? All right. So the question that you should be asking yourself is, well, why are Democrats so gung-ho about pushing this through and eliminating American jobs? Right? It doesn't serve them. It doesn't benefit them. their constituents and the Sean Fain UAW members that are aligned with him are going to vote for them. Why would they decimate their own jobs? Well, it's because they don't care about them. They care about their corporate donors, which they've already created subgroups to endear themselves to the Democratic Party, which will allow for them to stay in office. They've already replaced you. They're not going to depend on you in the future in order to stay in office and stay in power. So now they can sell out to big corporations. Corporate donors. The people that make the laws in this country are not ones, you are the ones that vote for it, but they are the ones that influence you to do what they want you to do. And so they'll sell it to you as, well, we need to be focused on environmental protections. Cool, well, you can do two things at the same time. That doesn't mean that you completely remove jobs in order to do so and have people starving. It doesn't. So now what they've done is they've overregulated you out of a job and they've prevented you from being able to provide for your family. So then it's twofold. You then become more dependent on the federal government for yourself to survive, so that you'll then say, well, they're giving us this because I don't have this, and so we need to be protected, so we're going to depend on this in order to feed them. But the Republican Party is saying you shouldn't have to depend on the federal government. There should be more than plenty enough work for you to achieve the American dream and take care of your children and be able to buy a car, a house, a job, and all of this other stuff. But if they can make you more dependent on the government, it seems as though they're the ones that's feeding you when it's coming out of our tax dollars. So then they don't like Trump, because Trump then says, well, listen, if y'all want to come over here and sell your products over here for cheap, which is incentivized by China, if you want to sell it for half price so that the people will then say, oh my God, because it's inflation, because we can't get cheaper prices. Well, you won't have a job to be able to buy anything in the first place. So then they're banking. Think about this for a minute. I'm going to tie it all in for you. Corporate donors, special interest groups where we can't even track the money, are the main contributors to these parties. Why? Because they have a vested interest in seeing Kamala Harris become president of the United States of America. Why? Keep asking questions. Keep going. Why? Why? Because then they will be able to continue to build these plants. If they already started manufacturing all of these plants, and these plants are massive over there in Mexico, and they got everything riding on whether or not Kamala Harris gets into office, why wouldn't they be donating to her campaign? Because that's the whole barrier to entry for whether or not they'll be able to sell their cars in America, which ultimately puts auto manufacturers out of business. If I'm a big donor, because they always say, well, Democrats are for the poor and the Republicans are for the rich. No, Republicans are for preserving your opportunity to get rich if you decide to, but Democrats have sold their soul over to corporate sponsors. So what happens is they contribute an ungodly amount of money, because I don't care if I give $1 billion over to Kamala Harris and Biden's campaign, if I can make $10 billion, but I know that stops in its tracks if Trump decides to become president of the United States of America. So I got to make sure that I protect my investment by continuing to influence the American people. Because remember, when they say, hey, listen, we're going to tax the rich, you're going to make the rich richer. We've already invested. Because y'all promised us that y'all was going to win this election. You promised us that Trump will be in jail. You promised us that these 91 charges that Fonnie Willis and Andre Dickens went up and met the vice president of the United States of America before they filed the charges at the White House. It's on the logs. You promised us that he wouldn't become president, so we made the investment down here, and that's going to influence how much money we give you in your campaign, so we need you to win. Are you hearing me? You wonder why, okay, why would all of these rich people, if they saying that they going to tax them, which they not, why would all of these rich people be having these special interest group? Why are they so incentivized for Democrats to win? Because they banking on them in order to be able to sell you a product and give away your job. He's the biggest threat to the establishment because he's not in the establishment. He's the biggest threat to the establishment. They don't like him. When they say they billionaire friends and corporate and rich buddies, they ain't talking about Trump. They need to be talking about themselves. Why you think that all of those suites were sold out at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago with all of these millionaires and these billionaires contributing so much money into these special interest groups? You think they got there by happenstance? You think these celebrities and all of these people are endorsing this person because it makes sense for them? Listen, if you want to understand the game, then you got to start following the money. If you want to understand the game, then you got to start following the money. There's too much money riding on this. Because if he get in office, he mess up all of the money. Trump gonna mess up all of the money, but guess what? That's because he puts America first. That's the whole idea behind the pitch. It's the whole idea behind making America great again, because we've been selling out for so long that now we suffering the repercussions and the consequences of the decisions of our parents that keep telling us to vote the same way. You ain't hearing me. You're not listening. You're not listening. You're not listening. They have so much riding on this election. They casino is the presidential election. That's what they banking on. Blue or red, not black and red at the roulette table. It's blue or red. Come on, man. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. I hate to have to break it down to you from a C student's perspective, but wake up. Wake up. Be Easy 333 says LGBTQIA and P. We know what the P stand for. It's coming soon. Tampon Tim is going to bring it to you. That's what Be Easy said. J. Ben says, I'll run my ICE vehicles off good old moonshine before I start riding with Energizer Bunny. Only bunny I've liked was Lola. Shout out to Bugs. Yeah. Pat Gigatainment says taxing the rich is taxing yourselves. They don't even understand where the money goes. Jay Hunter Lee says, Brother AD, I got a cousin in Detroit who works for Chrysler. He's voting against Trump and don't even realize he's voting against his own interests. It don't matter because he ain't going to have a job soon anyway, so we ain't even going to trip about it. So he can go ahead and head to that unemployment line like the rest of them. Hey, listen, I think that y'all are the greatest audience on earth, and I appreciate y'all for tuning in for at least 2 hours every single day. We got Let's Rant About It, episode 2. It's going to be lit. Make sure that you go ahead and hit your like for the algorithm on your way out the door. Also, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Get your tickets. Those links is pinned to the top of the chat. And then hit discount code Anton and continue to run it up. I can't wait to kick it with y'all in Atlanta and Detroit. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on the face of this earth, and don't let nobody else tell you otherwise. Share this with your friends and family. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Peace.